Hello again, and welcome everybody back to another edition of the Everything College Basketball Podcast, episode 79. And yes, we are finally back, kind of like we mentioned before on I think it was the last podcast, but definitely in the Facebook group. We just needed to take some time away. This year's been tough on everybody. From attendance wise, I know it's hard on a lot of people watching games right now due to the facts of no fans and cancellations and everything else. But we needed to take some time away to just kind of recharge our batteries. But starting today, as you can probably tell too, it is February 23rd. It's a Tuesday. We're just going to record when we feel like it. Like we mentioned, we might record 2 or 3 times a week. We might record once. We might not record for it. Just whenever we feel like it to give the best product, the most fun for you and most fun for us. So maybe just be on the lookout. You could get 3 episodes this week. You could only get this one. As you notice right now too, if you're watching the live video on Zoom, that'll be uploaded to YouTube. It is just me today. Just wanted to kind of get this first episode back in. Don't force anything. Peyton will rejoin me, hopefully in the next episode, maybe even later this week. But it's just your fearless leader, doing this episode. And this won't be a long one. I just wanted to kind of get my feet wet. I felt like talking again. So we're going to focus on a couple key points today. And like I said, this is a video. We're going to start dabbling more in the video things. I apologize for if it's a darker background. I just kind of said, screw it, and let's go with it. Let's get one out. We will have a more professional background. And if you hear a dog upstairs or, roaming around, he is, being a dog. He really wants to do other things, but he's stuck up here with me while I'm recording. So fun times. But there's been a lot that's happened since we last put out an episode on January 10th. Obviously, a lot of cancellations still, a lot of big-time moments, and we will talk more than that when I get into Peyton. Like, for instance, the Chris Mack video. I'm going to wait until Peyton jumps on with me so we can dissect that and get real thoughts on that. But basically, Gonzaga, Baylor still chasing history. Gonzaga 22-0, number 1. Baylor 17-0, number 2. Both of them chasing an undefeated history, trying to be the first since 1976 since Indiana went unbeaten for a whole entire year and won the national championship. And they both have very good shots at doing this. If you've watched college basketball this year, I don't think there's any doubt who's 1 and 2 in America. Both of those teams. And fun fact, I didn't actually know until last week. We all knew about Indiana in 76, but did everybody know that also in 76 in that Final Four, there was another unbeaten team? If you guess Rutgers, you've probably got to be cheating because I had no idea either. But yeah, there was 2 unbeaten teams that year. And we're set up, honestly, for another Final Four consistent of 2 unbeatens chasing that historic crown in Gonzaga and Baylor. You look down the new AP Top 25, 3 Big Ten teams round out the top 5. Maybe the surprise of college basketball this year, the Michigan Wolverines, 16-1, just came off of a great game against number 4 Ohio State on Sunday. And that's coming off of a layoff. They were rolling. If you remember our last episode, we were talking about Michigan. They were rolling then. They went on like a 3-week shutdown. Come back. All they do is go on the road, beat Rutgers. They win another game, and then they go and beat Ohio State. Juwan Howard is what we thought Penny Hardaway should be. Former alumni, NBA player for a long time that made a big name for himself. Comes back to his alma mater, recruits very well. And already in his second year, he's had more success than Penny in his 4 years at Memphis. Michigan is a team destined at this point to not only win the Big Ten, but secure a number 1 seed and could easily end up in a Final Four. Hunter Dickinson is right there making contention for a case for National Freshman of the Year. Although I think the shutdowns hurt him because I think Cade Cunningham's going to get that award. Hunter Dickinson has proved to be so valuable for Michigan. And then they have other pieces around. Juwan Howard has the Wolverines playing outstanding right now. We talked about number 4, Ohio State was 4 going into Sunday's matchup with Michigan, stayed 4 as they probably should have. And then number 5, the Fighting Illini of Illinois, arguably the best player in America. And I will get to a point on that here in just a minute. Ayo Dosunmu was putting up some tremendous numbers. Illinois started the year off hot, hit a little slide, but now they're rolling exactly where we thought they would be. 3 Big Ten teams inside the top 5. Speaking of, got a little outside interference here I talked about. What's up, buddy? You want to say hi to the camera? Huh? You want to say hi to the camera? All right, now get out of my shot. It's all about me today, pal. Just kidding. Number 6 is Alabama. You talk about Michigan being a surprise. How about the job Nate Oates has done with Alabama and the Crimson Tide? A veteran team led by John Petty. They have tremendous inside-outside play. When they are hitting from 3, especially, now they're not going to hit 23s like they did against LSU earlier in the year, but they're averaging right around, I think, like 10 and a half threes a game made. When they're hitting threes, they are unbeatable because of that threat from the inside, outside. You pop from 3, and then you have a guy like Herbert Jones doing work inside the paint. Alabama's the real deal, the tops of the SEC, 1 game away from clinching the regular season crown. Alabama and Nate Oates, tremendous job so far this year. They're a legit outside Final Four threat. I will put it that way. When it comes down to laying money and doing our brackets here in a few weeks, Alabama is one that you should definitely consider for a Final Four berth. 7, talk about another underdog in a way, or not necessarily underdog, but surprising. Lon Kruger, Oklahoma. You never count out Lon. I love him as a coach. Oklahoma, suffocating defense, playing very controlled on the offensive end, 7th in the country. 8, Villanova. Just had a setback a couple weeks ago against Creighton. Still a very good team. We know what we had our preseason number 1 is Villanova. Still think that they are capable of making a run. They're only 14-3 on the year. Jay Wright's club can make a run. Number 9, Iowa. Number 10, West Virginia. Iowa still needs to learn how to defend. They can't defend. I cannot see them going past the Sweet 16, just being honest, even with a guy like Luka Garza. 10, West Virginia, just coming off of a big win on the road at Texas. This is a Bobby Huggins style team, very physical, defensive minded, great on defense, long, athletic, strong, and they can score the ball. How about a guy like Derek Culver? I could not think of his name. Derek Culver playing outstanding basketball, arguably could be right there for Big 12 Player of the Year, contention with Jared Butler. West Virginia doing phenomenal things. I'm not going to go down the whole top 25. We're not going to do that. Just a couple teams I want to point out, though. Surprising in a way, maybe. Probably the best mid-major in college basketball this year, Loyola Chicago, number 21. Shoot the 3 very well. Experienced team. If I remember right, we had them in our preseason top 50. I argued hard for them. I knew that they would be a good ball club. Very, very talented. If you're a team, because even ranked 21st right now, let's say they went out, they might get up in the top 15 depending, but they're still, because they've been major, I think their ceiling's like a 6 seed, just being fair. But if you're like an 11 seed, or if you're in the next round like a 3 seed potentially having to play Loyola, that's not an easy matchup. Not an easy matchup in the tournament. How about number 20, Arkansas? After a kind of a sluggish start there, around December, early January in conference play, Arkansas, the Razorbacks, starting to reel off a bunch of wins here, starting to put it together. Arkansas with a nice, solid team right now. And then you just kind of look, obviously the Big Ten dominates the top 25, the Big 12 next. SEC's actually they've got Alabama, Arkansas, Missouri, and Tennessee, even though Tennessee just lost to Kentucky, which we're going to speak on the Cats here in just a few minutes. Don't you worry. But I mentioned Ayo Dosunmu and Luka Garza. I put up a poll on Saturday, my first blind resume. If you guys have been around long enough, you know I like to do blind resumes for teams and players. First one of the year, blind resume. I just wanted to know from our people in the Facebook group who they thought has the better stats without knowing. So I named player A, listed his stats: 24.7 points a game, 8.4 rebounds a game, 1.8 assists, shooting 56% from the field, a whopping 45.1% from the three-point line. And this was going into Saturday, by the way. He has 15 games of 20 plus or more and 22 played. His team at the time is 16-6. Player B, 21.3 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 5.1 assists, 49% from the field, a whopping, even for him, a 42.2% three-point percentage. 12 games of 20 points or more and 20 played. His team is a slight one game better, 15-5. Most importantly, in the head-to-head matchup, they've had one head-to-head matchup between the both of them. Player B's team has the win in that head-to-head matchup, and player B outplayed player A in that matchup. Let me find, I had this written down. Oh yeah, right here. People also want to know turnover. Player A turnover 1.4, player B 3.2. But in that one head-to-head meeting, player A had 18 points, 4 boards. Player B had 25 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. Player B's team won. Finally revealed, the poll showed that most people voted for player A as the more prolific player over player B. Come to find out, player A is Luka Garza, player B is Ayo Dosunmu. The reason I did this as my first blind resume is because I'm convinced that the national player of the year race is way closer than what people think. I know if you go on FanDuel and a lot of other betting sites that the national favorite is Luka Garza by a considerable amount to take home national player of the year. But I think it's a lot closer. And if you look at the stats, you look at the team record, what they mean, Ayo Dosunsumu's got a legit case to be national player of the year. His Illini are 5th in the nation, 16-5, battling for a 1 seed, battling for a Big Ten conference crown. Iowa's 9th, I get that. But who to me is more valuable? I think you can make an argument for both of these players, because if Luka was off Iowa, they wouldn't be as good. If Iowa wasn't on Illinois, I don't think they would be as good by far. So that kind of a wash. But I think who's just the better player right now, I think you've got to look at Ayo Dosunmu. And we've mentioned it time and time again, year in and year out. In the NCAA tournament, guard play wins you national championships. Because with a big man, and yes, Luka can pick and pop. We talked about the 45% from 3. But we've seen in big-time games, Iowa has they have 6 losses on the year. They're 17-6. Luka has been keyed in on. So when you get to the tournament and you play other teams who maybe have bigger, like more variety of bigs who can really frustrate and you can rotate bodies at him, or maybe you play have a smaller team that just zones the whole time and makes Iowa become jump shooters, I think Luka can be easily taken out of the game more than Ayo Dosunmu could. I think Ayo Dosunmu could easily lead Illinois to a Final Four more so than Luka can, and look at the numbers he's putting up. Yes, Luka's scoring more. Yes, he obviously should rebound more, but still, Ayo's pulling down 5 rebounds a game from the point guard spot, 6-some assists. He, for the most part, takes care of the ball. He shoots the ball, and he's one of the best closers in college basketball. When it's game time, the final seconds of a game, you need a final shot to make a final play. You want the ball in Ayo Dosunsumu's hands. I think that the National Player of the Year race is way, way, way closer than what most people anticipate or suspect in this race. It's definitely the last few weeks is going to be telling. Now, let's take a peek at both of their schedules here lining up just to take a peek. Excuse me for that. Illinois, final, where are they at? Actually, if you look, the Illini, they've had 1 game against Michigan postponed. They are on a 7-game win streak, but their final 5 matchups, brutal. But what's going to tell a lot, not only for Illinois' seed and all this, but Ayo Dosunmu individually. His final 5 tonight, they're at Michigan State, who just came off a big win at Assembly Hall against Indiana. We'll talk about here in a little bit. Then they get to play at home here in a couple of days against Nebraska. That should be a win. Iowa should put up big numbers on that one. They just beat Nebraska a couple weeks ago. And then the final 3, all on the road, brutal stretch here. At number 23, Wisconsin. At number 3, Michigan. And the final game of the year, regular season, at number 4, Ohio State. But if Illinois can, let's just say those final 5, say they can go 3-2 in this stretch, which is pretty remarkable considering who they've got to play, and 4 of them being on the road at Michigan State, at Wisconsin, at Michigan, at Ohio State. They win 3 of those. IU continues to put up numbers. You can't deny to me that he, could be National Player of the Year. On the flip side, Iowa, Let's go to the Hawkeyes' remaining games. The Hawkeyes have 4 remaining games: at Michigan, at Ohio State, Nebraska, Wisconsin. So they literally play 4 of the last 5 same opponents, just in different scenarios. Luka has a chance to seal this up himself as well. Here in a couple days on Thursday, they're at number 3 Michigan. We'll see Luka versus Hunter Dickinson. This weekend, this Sunday actually, in a primetime slot on CBS at number 4 Ohio State. Excuse me for a second. And then Nebraska, and then home against Wisconsin in a rivalry matchup. So it's going to come down to these last few games. I do firmly believe that for National Player of the Year. But to me personally, if you look at it, I feel like Ayo Dosunmu, as long as he finishes out strong, is the National Player of the Year. I think you would go him, Luka Garza, Jared Butler as your top 3. I think those 3 have really separated themselves. And then a couple of the Gonzaga guys, because they're playing in such a weak conference, it's not that we haven't forgot about them. But let's just be fair. They're not playing Michigan State and Wisconsin and Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, et cetera, night in, night out. They're getting to beat up on San Diego by 45. They're getting to play lesser Pepperdine, right? So Drew Timme, and we know how good they are, right? Drew Timme, Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert. They're putting up numbers, but maybe it's not fair. Maybe it's not fair. But if you're asking my National Player of the Year right now, the most important player on their team, Ayo Dosunmu wins the NPOY right now for me. But we got a couple weeks. These last 4 or 5 games for everybody is going to be fun down the stretch. Let's go ahead and talk. Like I said, I'm not going to be here real long today, but I did want to kind of get an episode up. So let's go ahead and talk about the regional teams, right? Let's go ahead and talk about, we're based on Indiana. Everybody should know by now that our regional teams being some of our biggest fan bases in the Facebook group: Kentucky, Louisville, Indiana, Purdue, and we'll hit on North Carolina real quick. So let's go ahead and start with my Wildcats. Kentucky is now on a 3-game win streak. Their second streak only this year of 3 games or more. They're 8-13. But the most important thing is that the Cats are playing better. If you watched Kentucky in even in the losses they had, like the Arkansas, Missouri, the Alabama second game, they were in Tennessee the first time. They were in these games. They had chances. Final 4 minutes went cold down the stretch. If you look at Kentucky, I'm gonna pull up a few of their stuff here. Just one second here, since I get this pull up technology, right? Speaking, they were supposed to play tonight too at Texas A&M. The game got canceled. So, come on. Of course, when you want something to work, it never works on time. All right, let's get Kentucky here. Oh my goodness, guys. This is ridiculous. Let's see if I can pull up their Ken Palm stuff. I'm waiting on this. Somebody get off the internet. Help me out. I'm just kidding. Kentucky. I'm just trying to pull up their stats to show everybody here. Come on now. Okay, here we go. Finally. In the last 6, okay? Actually, you can go back. So in the last 7, dating back to the Alabama loss, the second one, they lose 70-59. They're in that ball game, lead, I think the last 6 minutes. Alabama is able to go on a run, close it out. They lose by 11. They lose at Missouri in a game that they were in, lose 75-70. Lose the Tennessee game after being up 10 points, got outscored by it was a 21-point turnaround because Tennessee ended up winning by 11, but Kentucky was up 10 at that erupt. Arkansas, they lose by 1 in a game that they were up late. Then finally, during this 3-game win streak, they beat Auburn 82-80, Vanderbilt on the road 82-78, and then blew out number 19 Tennessee on Saturday inside Thompson Bowling. So Kentucky is sitting at 8-13, 7th in the SEC right now. But more importantly than that, they are starting to gel. The goal still for them to make the NCAA tournament. They have to win the SEC tournament. I don't think that's going to change. Even if they rule off, in the season, even with the Texas A&M game being canceled right now, if they get to make those up, they have 5 games remaining because they'll have to make up Texas A&M and South Carolina before the SEC tournament. They'll have Ole Miss left, Florida left, Texas A&M, and South Carolina. Add those to another 4. Now Kentucky's on a 7-game streak. That puts them right at like 12-13 on the year going in the SEC tournament. That's not good enough to sneak in an NCAA automatic bid or at-large bid. But I want you to look at a couple things here lately down the stretch. Kentucky has been shooting the 3 ball pretty well, honestly. If you remember at the beginning of the year, our biggest thing is we can't score, we can't shoot, et cetera, et cetera. Go back to this Tennessee game. Let's take a peek at the 3-point shooting there. Kentucky shot 50% from 3. And it wasn't because they only took 2. They shot 50% from 3. Where's the 3-point? Oh, there's 7 of 14 from the 3-point line. Davion Mintz 5 of 7. He was 5 of 5 at halftime. 5 of 5 at halftime. Isaiah Jackson was the star of that game. But the technology is not working for me right now. But basically, Kentucky's been shooting around 35, 36% in the last 7-8 ball games from 3, averaging right around 6.5, 7 threes made per game. Huge for this team, and it's opened up that offense. And more importantly than that, guys like BJ Boston, who I've apologized to because we were hard on him for reasons, but the kid looks more confident in his jump shot. He's attacking the rim. He's letting the game come to him. I think any Kentucky fan who's watched the progression this year will tell you that this BJ Boston is who we thought he could be because he's allowing the game to come to him. Cal has simplified the offense in a way. Guys are taking more shots. He's encouraging them to shoot, but they're taking better shots. Gone so far in the last 3 weeks are the shots where you'd see a forced, 35-foot 3-pointer with a hand in the face. Now the threes are more wide open. They're more consistent, and we're hitting them with more consistency. Opens up the floor. The defense has been tremendous, and that's the one thing we've talked about all year with Kentucky. For the most part, the defense has been on point. Now you're getting guys like BJ Boston stepping up. Now you're getting Isaiah Jackson, who's playing. I mean, he is just blocking shots, dunking around the rim. Keon Brooks has accepted the role of the veteran coming off the bench. His 3-point shot's fallen. He's defending at a high level. Devin Askew's still finding his way, struggling through, but Davion Mintz has been incredible. This Kentucky team, I'm not trying to get ahead of anything, and I don't think anybody will. But if they could reel off, say they beat Ole Miss, who's been playing decent, Florida, who's been playing a lot better, they go in with a 7-game win streak, or like say they lose one but still win 6 of 7 going in the SEC tournament, do not count out the Cats of stealing a bid. As we set right now, the SEC tournament works out where the top 4 seeds in the conference receive double buys, do not play till Friday night. 5 through 8, or 5 through 8, or 5 through 9, however it is, plays Thursday night, get a single bye, and then everybody else opens up on Wednesday night. Kentucky set to the 7 seed right now, so they'll be playing on Thursday. But to get into the top 4 seeds, which they're not that far off of, how far back are they? SEC. Okay, so they're 7th right now, but they're tied with Ole Miss, who's set to 7-7, and they're a half game behind Missouri. That's 5th. They're only 1 game behind Tennessee, and they're actually only 1 game behind Florida, who's 4th right now. So they're within a game of moving up into that double bye. That double bye to get a play, especially if you're a team who needs to win the conference tournament, to have to only win 3 games as opposed to maybe 4 or 5 back to back to back to back like that is huge. Absolutely huge. So it is important. Yes, you want to win for your resume, and yes, you want to win for, keep the momentum and all that good stuff. But more importantly, right now, Kentucky has got to continue to creep up towards that, try to get that double bye. They need to try to get to Friday night. Thursdays, whatever. I mean, you don't want to backslide and go play on Wednesday, because then trying to win 5 in a row is absolutely, that's almost impossible. But if you are Kentucky, if you can sneak in and get a double bye, and you don't have to play till Friday night, and then you just got to win 3 games in a row. That's doable. That is very, very doable, because outside of Alabama, yeah, Arkansas is playing better. LSU scores a ton of points but does not defend. Florida's playing better, but they're inconsistent. Tennessee's the same way. Missouri's hitting their slide. If you're in the SEC right now, outside of maybe Alabama, and Kentucky played them good both times, I don't think you want to see a red-hot Kentucky team in the SEC tournament, especially a Kentucky team who gets to hang out until Friday night. I'm just saying. What we're going to do now is, for those watching the live video here, we're going to, with the magic of screen share, we're going to take a look real quick at these highlight videos from Kentucky versus Tennessee the other night. And we'll break down. We're going to watch these real quick, and we'll break down so we can show the difference between the Cats and their difference in play from, a month or two ago. As soon as we skip this ad, because I forgot on this one. But we look here early in the game right here. Kentucky hedging that screen. Fulkerson, that is a shot right there. If you guys are watching. Now, they gave up the offensive rebound. Kentucky hard hedges off that. That's a shot that Fulkerson normally makes. Kentucky just got beat on the slip there, got beat on the offensive rebound. It happens. But watch this down here. Now, we're running like the horn set here. Isaiah Jackson comes up, gives it to Devin Askew, gets a ball screen. Now watch what happens here. If I remember right, this is the right play. Runner, bam. That's exactly right there Devin Askew needs to be doing. We've said it all year. Hit that little mid-range. Kentucky's defense in this game, I know Victor Bailey pops one here, but Kentucky's defense in this game particularly was outstanding. As you see Davion Mintz get the poke. Look at the run. Bam. Isaiah Jackson looks like he should be playing for Kentucky right now. In North Carolina, both them teams traditionally have their bigs run. It's just watching these highlights right here. Again, you're going to obviously see Tennessee make some plays, but the Kentucky dominated this game. Even when Kentucky's, look at Davion here. That is huge. But even when Kentucky's had these really good teams battling for number 1 seeds, we've struggled at Thompson-Boling, and this team of all teams goes down there and puts a whooping on them. But look, Davion Mintz hitting threes. Look at this pick, pop, or not even pick. He just stepped up. He has been tremendous. He's been like playing a Emmanuel Quickly style ball here lately. And then Jacob Toppin. If Jacob Toppin, like he has been the last couple games, develops a jump shot at his size and the way he defends, get over. He could be a potential superstar next year if he chooses to come back like he should. We're just seeing Keon Brooks hit a jump shot. Look at Isaiah Jackson here. He goes down hard, but he has a play here later. He just crams it all over John Fulkerson. Look at that. Even in a scramble situation, block, Kentucky's length and athleticism has been problems for not just Tennessee, but everybody during this stretch. Look at this out of bounds play right here. Look at this. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to pause it right there. Calipari, rightfully so, in 11 years at Kentucky has been chastised for not running out of bounds underneath plays. That was beautiful right there. You can't get much better. And you see right now, the Cats, as I have this pause, up 20-10 on the Vols. This is a different Kentucky team. Hitting threes, defending for their lives, blocking shots, running stuff now on offense. Again, I'm not getting ahead of myself, but this is a different team. And we're not going to watch all these highlights. I just wanted to have this kind of to show people, look at Davion Mintz, confident going up. A month ago, month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that's a shot that he would have waited until a defender came at him and then tried to shoot one, having a hand in his face. I'd like to see one here with BJ. Look at that. Look at that floppy action right there. He hits this. I'm going to pause that again real quick. That action you just seen on screen, where he comes from one side of the floor, hard cuts, by the way, no jogging, no laziness, hard cuts, runs his defender, loses his defender, first of all, runs his defender into a great screen, turns off of his right shoulder, right-handed shooter. It's very hard, to be honest with you. Busted in range and confidence, puts him, I think, 3 at 3 at the time from the three-point line. Those are the same plays we've seen years for Jamal Murray, Deron Lamb, Brandon Knight, et cetera, Tyler Hero, Davion Mintz, BJ Boston, guys like that hitting threes. Now these floppy sets work. And when they cut that hard, for the young players watching this, that's how you cut. You want to get open. You don't jog. You bust your ass. Bust your ass. And then good job on the screen down low. Everything about that was brilliant. That was stuff a month ago we were not doing. I'd like to see BJ Boston, a highlight from him. Look at that pull up from Isaiah Jackson, by the way. I think the Cats they shot, if I remember right, 19 of 27 from the first half field. Look at BJ Boston, nice pull up in range. Cats up 30-14 on number 19 Tennessee in Thompson Bowling. Unbelievable. So we're going to go and stop the highlights here because we don't want to drone on, but I think that shows a lot of what, what makes Kentucky right now as far as how well they are playing. My screen share off? I think it is. Yeah, okay. I think it is. But anyways, Kentucky on a roll right now. Let's see if they can continue that stretch going forward. In Ken Palm, they are where are they right now? Did they move up any? Ken Palm, they're up to 49, so top 50. That's probably about right now for them. Other teams real quick around the area here, listening area. Let's go to Indiana. The Hoosiers, in situations where they must they need to win. And they need to win. They need to be on a roll. They need to get playing better. And they continue to, how should I put it? Underperform, I suppose. I think that's right. Because they'll go on like this win streak. They'll win 2, 3, 4 games in a row, and then they'll lose a couple games that they shouldn't have. It's just so inconsistent. It's been the mark of Archie Miller's tenure at IU. They are currently 7-8 overall, 7-8 in the Big Ten Conference, 12-10 overall. To me, they're on the bubble right now. They are on the bubble right now. You remember too, they beat a good Stanford team. They got blew out by Texas, but early in the year, remember, they played a good schedule. But then, look at their last 5. They have won 3 of the last 5. They beat Iowa, they beat Minnesota, they beat Northwestern, lose at Ohio State, lose to Michigan State in a game where Michigan State's not good this year, and they're up at halftime. They allow Michigan State to come back. Trace Jackson Davis has been playing out of his mind. I think the other night he had 34 against the Spartans, but Indiana's they're in an interesting spot. 12-10 is traditional bubble-licious type record. I think it's what's saving them this year, because I seen even after the loss, I think it's an ESPN predictor thingy that they always use, still has them 70% in the NCAA tournament. But 12-10, I think being in the Big Ten saves them. I think how strong the conference is this year is saving them. But you look at their last 4 games: at Rutgers, home against Michigan, at Michigan State in the return, and then at Purdue. That's a very tough 4-game stretch right there. And I think, honestly, they need to go 3-1 in that. I think that they have to beat Rutgers on the road, which is not easy. Rutgers is a good team. They have to beat Michigan State on the road, which is not easy. And they have to beat Purdue on the road, something they haven't beat Purdue in a couple of years. I'm giving them the 1 loss at home against Michigan, and that might be the game that they win. But just based upon how good Michigan is the reason but I still think they have to go 3-1. If they do that, that puts them at 15-11 in the Big Ten tournament. I think that saves them, even if they lose early in the Big Ten conference tournament. But they definitely, I don't even think they can go 2-2 unless they make it to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament. In a year that's so crazy, where we see all this craziness, Indiana is still in jeopardy of not making the tournament. I think they're so inconsistent. Now you fans can chime in and tell me more about it and what their thoughts are, because they like to do all the time, but they're so inconsistent. One day that they beat number 8 Iowa, they beat them at home. They shoot the ball well. TJD is going to do his stuff, right? 20 points a game, 20.2 to be exact, 34.5 minutes, shooting 53.7% from the field. The kid's tremendous. But when your leading assist man's Al Durham at 2.8, he's averaging 11 points a game, 2.8 assists. They've got all these guards, and your leading one's only getting 2.8 a game. Not sharing the ball well, still turning it over too much as a team. and so inconsistent from three. I think Indiana's got to figure out, and it's not an easy 4-game stretch. There's still work to be done, I think, if you're IU. Can they do it? Yeah, they have the talent to do it, but they've got to shore up a lot of stuff. For a team who's supposed to pride themselves on defense, and it's not been bad. Let's not say that. I mean, obviously they swept Iowa, right? They've got some good quality wins, but for a team who prides themselves on defense, let's look at their last 6 games here. They give up 75 to Illinois, which isn't bad because Illinois could put up 90. Okay, they give up the whole Iowa to 65. That's tremendous. But they give up 76 to Northwestern, 78 to Ohio State. They did beat Minnesota by 10, but they gave up 72, and then they give up 78 to a bad Michigan State team. So all in all, it's not like their defense is bad per se, but times in need, they need to have stretches where they can hold the opponents, especially if they want to close games out. They need to go stretches where opponents, go 5, 6 minutes, 7 minutes without a field goal. They need to keep teams off the free throw lines. They got to shoot better from three themselves, and they need more people to step up other than Trace Jackson Davis. IU as a team right now itself's only scoring 72.5 points a game, which isn't terrible, but it puts them tied for 172nd in the nation. They're basically an average offense. Rebounds, they only get 35 rebounds a game. Puts them tied for 216 in the nation. 35 rebounds a game? Gotta hit the glass better. Assists, they're averaging 14.4. That's 110th in the nation, but still. And then they give up 69.7 points a game. All not bad. I mean, for the most part, the rebounds to me is not good, but let's take a peek at what they're shooting from three-point range. Oh, this ended up switching it to damn, that ended up switching it to okay, well, I was going to take a look, but that ended up switching it to players. But nonetheless, IU's got some work to do. They have to, in my opinion, go at least 3-1 down the stretch. If not, try to steal all 4 to secure their bid. Or at the very least, they need to make it to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament, or else it could be another NIT year. In which case, you can't keep Archie Miller. Can you? I mean, IU fans, I know you guys are so indifferent. And I think if I remember right, you're still paying Tom Crean. But if Archie doesn't get you in the NCAA tournament this year, you can't keep him, can you? No. I mean, I'm just saying. On the other side, I think what makes it even worse for IU fans is their arch rivals, Purdue. The Boilermakers are 15-8 overall, 10-6 in NCAA or in the Big Ten. They're actually themselves are buying for a double buy in the Big Ten tournament. They're only a game behind Iowa. Boilermakers to me have overachieved, even though I think that they would be good. You wait until Peyton hops on here in the next episode, and we'll talk about him because I know he wasn't that high on them. But the Boilers, you got to give Matt Painter a lot of credit. They're battling for a double bye in the Big Ten for the Big Ten tournament right now. They're 5th in the conference, 10-6, 15-8. Unless they completely fold in these last 3 games, they're solidly in the NCAA tournament. Their final 3 at Penn State, Wisconsin, and then IU at home. That's very manageable. That's very, very manageable. With 2 of them being at home, 1 of them on the road against a pretty bad Penn State team. Very manageable. Purdue's won 3 of their last 4. Only loss being at the barn by 3 against Minnesota. So the schedule sets up favorably for Purdue. They're playing well. Obviously, defensively, they've always been really good. They're giving up 66.3 points a game. Very, very good from Purdue on the defensive side. And guys like Travion Williams averaging 16 points a game, plays 25 minutes, shoots 52%, almost 53% from the field. Eric Hunter Jr. leading them in assists at 3.2. Tremendous guard coming off of an injury last year. They've got some tremendous freshmen too. How about Zach Edey? Around the rim, big man down low. Jaden Ivey is a freshman. This Purdue team, and they can shoot the 3 pretty well. They shoot the 3 pretty well. See if I can pull up Ken Palm here on the Boilermakers. They're actually 17th in the nation right now overall in Ken Palm, which says a lot. Purdue from 3 shoots 33.5. Not great, not terrible, but they're one of those teams that can get hot at any moment, right? We've seen it against teams. They can have a game where they can easily hit 12, 13 threes on you and then put you away in a hurry because how good their defense is. So Purdue's schedule sets up favorably for them to almost be a 20-win team going into the NCAA tournament. So Purdue doing well. If you're a Boilermaker fan, I know some of you out there, JRO, who always hate on Matt Painter, but man, you got one of the best coaches in the Big Ten year in and year out. He knows how to get it done with his teams. Maybe not always an NCAA tournament, but at least navigating through the regular season and the Big Ten schedule, he can get the most out of his players almost more than anybody in that conference can, maybe outside of Tom Izzo. And I think that says a lot. So Purdue's in good shape to make the tournament unless they completely fold down the stretch, in which case I still think they make the tournament. They're just battling for Big Ten conference crown seeding and then seeding the NCAA. So Purdue's on a good path right now if you are a Boilermaker fan. Now let's take a trip down to Louisville. I said. Let me pull up the Cardinals real quick like here, who had just came off. I tell you what's hurt Louisville, because if you recall that they were playing well, or at least decent, and then they had to go on a COVID lockdown. They missed like 2 weeks, 3 weeks worth of games, and then come back Saturday for the first one back in a long time and got absolutely obliterated by North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Got beat by 45 points. I think a lot of that's attributed to just how well North Carolina is playing lately and the fact that Louisville's come off this long layoff. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that if you're a Cardinal fan. But Louisville sets right now, they're 11-5 overall, 6-4 inside the ACC. Still got contention to actually win this thing. Florida State's leading the conference at 9-2. Louisville's only 2.5 back. There's only a couple of games left. Louisville actually, due to the coronavirus, they had 1, 2, 3, 4. They lost 5 games, and then come to North Carolina and get beat by 45. But the schedule's not that easy for Louisville to end. Tonight, they're at home against Notre Dame. Then they play at Duke over the weekend, at Virginia Tech, and then in the regular season against Virginia. We talked about this preseason, how tough the schedule was. Louisville, I think, solidly in the NCAA tournament. But if they were wanting to try to steal the ACC crown or at least get a good positioning for the tournament, it's imperative for them. I think, obviously got to handle business against Notre Dame. We know by watching them play this year, and especially against Kentucky, one of the best three-point shooting teams in college basketball. You defend a three against Notre Dame, you can win that game. I think Louisville can win that one. At Duke, this is a Duke team that's fighting for their life to try to get back in the NCAA tournament. They're playing a little better right now, and that's a struggle. You never can just go to Cameron, but if they can win that, then Louisville sets up the final two, the teams from Virginia. At Virginia Tech, we know how well and surprising they've been this year. They defend, they shoot the three well, and then you get Virginia at home. So anything can happen if you're Louisville. Like I said, I'll let Peyton speak more on that when he hops on in the next episode, but Louisville, I think, setting in a good position. I think they bounce back huge tonight after being embarrassed off that long layoff from North Carolina. So the Cards are in good shape. They actually, like I said, they're only 2.5 back. They've got 4 regular season games left. A little luck here. They play 3 of the teams in front of them. Get Florida State to slip up a little bit. You win out. You could still win the conference after all this. So Peyton will speak more on Louisville in the next episode, so we'll let him do that. And then finally, the North Carolina contingent. Here you go. Tar Heels. We kind of left them for dead there for a while because they were in that, a couple weeks ago, obviously we didn't do a show, but we had for the first time since the 1950s, that note: Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, Indiana, and UCLA, none of them were ranked. North Carolina kind of left them for dead with the other Blue Bloods, but here lately, all they've done is win. They win the rivalry game against Duke. They lose to Virginia, have a couple games postponed, and then they turn around and they beat Northeastern because they just picked up the game. They blew out Louisville. The Boston College game's postponed. They picked up a game against Marquette, which will be a fun one. So their last 4, Marquette, Florida State, Syracuse, and Duke, very, very winnable with the exception of maybe Florida State, but that's at home, so you never know. If you're North Carolina, you've played your way back into the NCAA tournament right now. You're setting fourth in the conference, only 2 games out from the conference lead. You do get to play Florida State towards the end so that you can kind of control destiny in your own hands in that aspect. 8-5 in the ACC, 14-7 overall. As long as you don't slip up really bad down the stretch in these Final Four, North Carolina should be a tournament team, and they're playing better. You look at their recent run of games, with the exception of the Virginia loss where they only scored 48. They've put up 99 on Louisville. They put up 82 on Northeastern, 91 at Duke, 75 in the win at Pitt, 86 against North Carolina State in a win, 80 against Wake Forest, 81 against Syracuse. So you're starting to see North Carolina put up numbers traditionally like they do. Armando Bacot's their leading scorer at 11.8. Caleb Love, the dynamic freshman, 3.6 assists a game. You know, Carolina's still only putting up around 75 points a game, but it is going up. Rebounds, they're 4th in the nation at 42.9. Big, strong. All their guards come down and rebound. I think that is key, especially in the offensive end. This is North Carolina team. A lot like we talked about Kentucky in a way. If you are a team in the ACC tournament or the NCAA, because Carolina is projected out right now. Actually, let me take a peek while we're talking. Carolina, I think, is projected out at around like maybe a 9 seed, 8-9 seed. That is a tough matchup right now, the way they're playing. I think that's a tough matchup, the way they're playing. Speaking of bracketology, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I will get to North Carolina, but Lenardi's recent one, last 4 byes, Louisville barely in, which I think is crazy. To me, Louisville should be solidly in. Last 4 in, Indiana's a part of that. So that goes to show the Hoosiers need work to be done. First 4 out, Duke's a part of that. So they fought their way back in after 2 weeks ago, being with Kentucky and the rest of them dead in the water. They're fighting their way back in. Let's see if we can find North Kakalaki here. North Carolina, 9 seed in Region 2. On the rise, according to Lenardi. They would be playing Rutgers. Their number 1 would be Baylor. You know what? The Rutgers game would be interesting because how well Rutgers guards are. But if they got by that, Baylor would be the favorite in that matchup. But again, if you're Baylor, unbeaten, do you really want to see a surging North Carolina as your second round opponent? I think that's where it could be interesting. So if you're Carolina, especially if you're a Tar Heel fan, you got to be happy with the progression that your team's moving towards and how they're playing here lately. Just got to keep that momentum up. But other than that, like I said, just wanted to, we end up going a little longer here because I can never know when to stop, but wanted to get a show out for you. Hope you guys have enjoyed this for episode 70. I think 79 is what it was. I've lost track, but episode 79, we had a run in from good old Ryder boy here, our sweet boxer. But we will be back. My goal is to get another episode out sometime this weekend. Peyton joins us. We'll go a little bit more in depth. Hope you guys have enjoyed this return episode. If you do, as always, please give it a like, share, subscribe, all that on the YouTube channel here that you'll be watching the live video on. Go listen to it on the podcast as well to help those numbers out. And we're back. Like I said, we're trying to do this, make it more fun again, no stress, all that good stuff. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy it. Obviously, buy our merch. Peyton will link all that stuff. Leave feedback, please. If you have any questions, we'll gladly put you on the show reading that. But here's to our return. We are 3 weeks away from Selection Sunday, basically. And I hope you guys enjoy. Until later this week, hopefully, or until the next episode. Thank you for listening to Everything College Basketball Podcast. Stay safe, stay happy, stay free, all that good stuff. We'll see you down the road. See you guys.